Well, ladies and gentlemen, it does seem like Ohio State might have a serious problem when it comes to this playoff game. 30% of Ohio Stadium, we don't know this for sure, but they could be Tennessee fans. Now, there's been a lot of stuff circulating. First, it was the botched way in which the tickets were given out. There was a code that got leaked to a bunch of Tennessee fans that weren't intended for them. They ended up buying some of the tickets. A lot of the tickets now are on secondary markets being bought up by Tennessee fans. People are saying at least 15% of Ohio Stadium for sure, based off of ticket sales on SeatGeek, they will be Tennessee fans. And so, 15%, that's really not a big deal considering it, they're all dispersed throughout the stadium. It's not really going to make much of a difference. Ohio State is doing, I believe, a scarlet out. Their uniforms are all going to be fully red. But if it's 30% and you've got that orange going up against the red, 30% for a team down south traveling to a program like Ohio State, that's really bad if it ends up being around 30%. Like, that's noticeable. Imagine if it's like 35 or 40%. For a playoff game. Now, there's a few different reasons why this is happening. Ohio State ending the season in honestly the worst way imaginable. You're 20-point favorites, 20 and a half point favorites against Michigan. You lose that game outright at home. That's as bad as you can get. Ohio State president Ted Carter says Ohio Stadium may be 30% Tennessee fans for the playoff game. You can see, great to run into Ted Carter at the New Era Forum. He thinks the stadium may be 30% orange. Way to go, Vol fans. First game ever played at Ohio Stadium in the month of December. It will be, it's going to be very, very cold. And I'll talk about the weather and everything like that. But there's been things happening in terms of like SeatGeek and online sales. It says, according to SeatGeek, 42% of tickets resold on the platform have gone to Tennessee residents, while only 23% have gone to Ohioans. And you might be saying, wow, 42%, but that's just resold tickets. A lot of Ohio State fans didn't resell their tickets. So that doesn't mean the stadium's going to be 42% full. But there's been a lot of Tennessee fans talking about this game, and it just seems like Tennessee's fan base is really hyped up for it, more so than you would normally think. And it's just like Ohio State, a lot of the fans want Ryan Day fired. It's really not a good environment. What Kirk Herbstreit said I thought was ridiculous, saying it'd be better to play on the road. That's just dumb. It's like, that's the thing with these announcers and these analysts. If Ryan Day's doing a horrible job, fans are going to boo him. I'm sorry. You guys getting millions of dollars every year. It is what it is. Ohio State, they have 3 goals every single year for the past 4 years that they haven't accomplished any of them. The only one left that they can accomplish this year is winning the title, which is very unlikely. I think what's going to happen is Ohio State, they'll play an ugly game against Tennessee. You look at Tennessee, I know there's been kind of like this inverse where they're like, oh no, the weather actually helps Tennessee because Ohio State is this soft team and they do need to throw the ball more. But if you look at the weather, there's going to be no wind, which is good for Ohio State. It's going to be cold, which I also think is good for Ohio State. If you look at Tennessee, and there was like a video circulating of a lot of the Tennessee players like huddling around space heaters in like 55-degree weather against Georgia. It's going to be 20 degrees. And this is the night game. This is the 8 o'clock game. So it's going to be dark for the full game. It's going to contribute to it getting colder. And so I think the weather, the fact that there's no wind, there's no precipitation, so that, it's going to help Ohio State, the fact that it's cold. And Tennessee is more of a run-first team. They do have a really good defensive line. Ohio State can't run block. That's known at this point. And I would imagine this will be the game where Ohio State will come out and throw. And the idea is you really can't run against that defensive line, especially with Ohio State. They don't have Josh Simmons. They don't have Seth McLaughlin. But they're going to be able to throw, and then the throw is going to open up the run. That's ideally how it would go. You've also got Ohio State vowing to protect goalpost after playoff game versus Tennessee. So there's some Tennessee fans that want to throw the goalpost if they win into the river right next to Ohio Stadium. That's the ultimate embarrassment if that happened. That cannot happen. There would be enough Tennessee fans to do that. What is with all these people? It's always something with Ohio State. Whenever they lose, these teams have to do something. But even like the flag planting, that wasn't even a thing until Baker Mayfield did it against Ohio State. And even that, it was like people only remember that, but Ohio State crushed Baker Mayfield the year before. Everyone forgot about it. But um, this is embarrassing if this happens. I mean, if there's enough Tennessee fans to even pull something like that off, that would be 10 times worse than the flag plant. And there was like an Ohio representative that wanted to make that illegal. That's nobody really believes that should be illegal. That's ridiculous. That was like a Michigan fan, I think from Toledo or Youngstown, that was like trolling Ohio State fans, honestly, when they said that. That's come on, there's no way. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of Tennessee fans. I don't know how much you don't want to overreact, like, oh, because again, the 42% thing on SeatGeek, that's not the entirety of the sales. That's like 15% of the sales is 42% of the fans. So it's not like 100% of the sales. 42% of them are going to Tennessee fans. It's a resale market. So, but listen, if it is 30%, I think that's pretty bad. I mean, it is noticeable. It's not catastrophically bad, but I think a lot of this is the game's right up against Christmas. It's going to be cold. Ohio State just lost to Michigan as 20-point favorites at home. A lot of the fans of the program want Ryan Day to be fired. That's never a good sign. You want your head coach to be fired going into a playoff game. And this is a completely new format, and I think a lot of it is people are saying, well, they shouldn't take much stock into the Michigan game considering Ohio State loses to Michigan and then they still make the playoff. I mean, if this was the 14 playoff, the Michigan game would have been the entire season, but it's not because of the expanded playoff. But I think, honestly, the Michigan game probably was the entire season because if they don't have to face or if they beat Michigan, they go on to the Big Ten championship, and then you would much rather have a 1 or a 5 seed, preferably a 5 seed, honestly, based on how dumb the seeding is. But now you've got to beat all these teams. You got to beat Oregon. You got to beat probably Texas. You got to beat Tennessee. But honestly, I do think they will beat Tennessee. It'll probably be an ugly game, lower scoring. They'll beat Tennessee. They'll have a galvanized effort against Oregon, but lose. I mean, you lose to Oregon twice in a season. It does seem like Vrabel possibly wants to go. I mean, there's rumors, but I don't know. It seems like Vrabel possibly will go to Ohio State. We'll have to see. But with Day, I mean, again, you lose to Michigan, you lose to Oregon twice in a season. I mean, what is the sense of keeping the guy? It's just been far too long. I mean, they've given him so many chances, and it just simply will not work with Day. And look, you got another chance because of the 12-team playoff, but you're going to beat Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, Georgia. Really? You're going to win all those games? I mean, it seems very unlikely. They'll probably beat Tennessee, lower scoring, ugly game. But other than that, I don't know. Another thing, listen, read it and weep, guys. Read it and weep. 3-0. How many entries did we get here? Let's take a look at this. I'm 3-0. I'm ranked number 1 in my own pool. Wait, how do I see this? Oh, maybe it's in groups. 158 people. I'm first. All right, there's a lot of other people that are 3-0 with me. I can understand. But yeah, guys, I don't know. I'm 3-0. I correctly predicted all of this. This is based on spreads too. So what's the next game? James Madison -7.5. That's not a. I can actually change this right now. Oh, this game's happening tonight. I don't know. That's not a great spread. 7.5. Western Kentucky is terrible though. Come on. But I did want to show I was 3-0. We've also got this. Alabama's defensive lineman, Damon Payne, who I think was a former 5-star back a while ago, or a top 50 recruit. He committed to Michigan, and then the signed documents got nullified. Michigan ran out of money. Wow. Michigan spent like $50 million on this team. I mean, this is crazy. And then they ran out of money. Well, Michigan, the story with Michigan is just so hilarious. They don't even have a billionaire. A billionaire is dating a girl that went to Michigan, and she's getting him to buy Bryce Underwood and other Michigan players to Michigan. This is where college football is now. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X.